Welcome to Inside Leduc. My name is Tarah, Flynn, and I will be your host today. My intent to this podcast is to create a platform for businesses in the Leduc region to promote themselves. So we not only learn about the products and the services being offered, but also who we are supporting when we shop local. So let's venture past the front door and get to know the passion behind these businesses. With this knowledge, we will undoubtedly want to support their dreams and maybe start one of our own. I would also like to preface that I want to learn about our guests as you do. So welcome to the Inside Leduc Podcast. So welcome to this edition of Inside Leduc. My name is Tarah Flynn, and with me we have Karsten Sturmey from Leduc Region Wetaskiwin Chamber of Commerce with Discover Leduc Region. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me on the podcast, Tarah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to share what you have to offer for our community. So tell me a little bit about your business, or about this part of the chamber, I should say.
For sure. So Discover Leduc Region is a tourism initiative spearheaded by the Leduc, Niskiw, and Wetaskiwin Regional Chamber of Commerce. So we cover a couple different municipalities in the area. So we cover Leduc, Leduc County, Kalmar, Devon, and the city of Beaumont. And we're responsible for destination marketing, destination promotion for all of those municipalities. So very similar to what Travel Alberta or Explore Edmonton would do, but just on a smaller scale for Leduc and surrounding communities.
Okay, so if I'm coming into like the airport, is that how you approach your tourists, or how exactly are you promoting that now that we've had this big all the communities together? How are you promoting it?
It's actually evolved in a lot of different ways, I suppose. So we always have had the Leduc Visitor Information Center at the Chamber office. So that is very much where it started. But however, we wanted to grow this far beyond that. So we launched our website. We officially launched the initiative in June of 2020, which in some ways was the most unfortunate time to launch a regional tourism initiative. In other ways, it was actually a big advantage because we got to grow a really tightly knit community-based support. So we launched our website. We have social media accounts. We send out weekly blog posts. We leverage the Chamber's professional network to get word out about us and the businesses that we feature through that. So what started out as a visitor information center in the Chamber has since grown into a largely digital, but we are moving into some in-person stuff, destination management organization.
So, because sports tourism, like you can't not know about sports tourism and be in Leduc. Like it's like we've got everything here for sports tourism. So do you kind of leverage that as well with if a tourism group is coming in, you say, hey, this is what like you kind of piggyback off that, or what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. That really comes down to working very closely to our municipal partners, especially, like you said, the city of Leduc is known for sports tourism. They've hosted so many flagship events, be it curling, be it they just hosted a golf national championship. So it's really just about working hand in hand with our municipal partners to really get a good sense of what they're already doing to promote these national championships and opportunities for businesses to be promoted, and then making sure that we're working really closely with your municipal partners to bolster efforts where possible and to make sure we're not duplicating where there is already promotions being presented.
So that's definitely a lot of communication in regards to making sure that it ebbs and flows really well. That's awesome. So what was the process then in realizing that there was that missing piece for tourism for our community? Like,
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So Leduc has been, and the surrounding communities have been a little bit unique insofar that there really has been no central body, no central voice for tourism, for regional promotion. Even if you look at other municipalities, so Sundre has a tourism initiative, Explore Sundre, Tabor down in southern Alberta, Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Grand Prairie, all of them already had those existing brands, but there was really no brand for Leduc in the surrounding communities. So we recognize recognized that as the chamber, we went to our municipalities that we work very closely with. We said, hey, we need something similar in our region. We have so many cool assets, be that all the hotels out in Nisku, be that the amazing restaurants that people frequent in Leduc and the surrounding communities, be that things to do like Castrol Raceway. And we also have the Edmonton International Airport that is right in our own backyard. So we recognize that there is that opportunity. There are these unique assets that need that central voice. So we went to our municipal partners, said, hey, we need to start something like a Travel Alberta, like an Explore Edmonton, but for our region. And it was received very positively. And we actually just celebrated our first birthday in June.
Hey, happy belated birthday. That's awesome. Yeah, so like starting out in COVID, when it comes to travel, like I could really see, because we couldn't go anywhere, but you travel your province. So I could see both sides of how that was a bonus, as well as how, it was hindrance because we didn't know, and there was so many unknowns, and it always ebbs and flows with what's open and what's closed. But did you find that there was a big success with it because we had to stay local, or we couldn't travel abroad, or did you find that that was a bonus?
Yeah, it was challenging in some ways, definitely. Like, I guess, in the terms of the scope of how you advertised and the scope of how you promote. It obviously wasn't responsible for us to be running promotions in BC, to be running promotions in Saskatchewan, the rest of Canada, the States, right? But on the other hand, you can look at that as a disadvantage, or you can look at that as an advantage. We were able to really leverage not only the Chamber's professional network, but just community-centric support in Leduc and the surrounding communities as well. And I think everybody realized it themselves. There are so many unique things to see in our own backyard. We don't have to run to Edmonton. We don't have to run to BC. A lot of times we can have those really unique experiences if we just look at ones that are a little bit closer to home.
For sure. Well, and it seems to be like you never usually tour your own neighborhood, right? You don't think about going close. You want to go far usually to go and see something. So it's actually part of the emails, and it's so interesting to see what we have and the different festivals, and as a surrounding area as well, there is a lot of activity that goes around. So how is it that you guys search out those activities? Do companies approach you and say, we want to be on your newsletter, or is it vice versa and you guys go outward?
A little bit of everything. As we continue to grow, we do get more requests coming in, people who already recognize that we have developed a platform where we can get that word out. So people do approach us, I would say probably about 50 to 60% of the time. The other 50 to 40% is us doing research, us leveraging the Chamber's professional network, to know when our member businesses are hosting significant events, when our municipalities are hosting significant events. So I would say it's about a 50-50 split. Half the time people come to us. Other times we have to make sure we're doing research to ensure that we're getting proper coverage of everything that's going on.
And what a great chamber. Like, our chamber has won how many awards now? So it's a good chamber to leverage all your networks with, right?
Pretty much so. I'm a little bit biased because they're paying me money to work for them, but I say they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you join up the chamber? Like, how was that for you? Are you from
that was
community?
Actually a super interesting journey. So I was born and raised in Leduc, actually. I went to the high school in Leduc. I lived in Leduc until I was 18. And then I moved to Edmonton to go to university. So I was actually a science kid before I was a marketing kid. So finished my second degree. A cool job opportunity opened up in Leduc that caught my eye, and it's kind of come full circle. So I feel like I was able to leverage my experience of being born and raised in Leduc. My family still lives there. I still visit a ton. And it's just been a really cool growth cycle to be, okay, this is what was in Leduc when I was a 16-year-old kid, and now this is what's in Leduc when I'm in my mid-20s. So It's been cool to see that evolution. My
goodness, yeah, for sure. I was just at the racetrack this weekend, and someone was mentioning they were here 74 years. I was like, what? I can't even imagine how much it's changed since then. Like, we're growing so fast in all directions in every community, and there's so much evolution and so much growth that it's really amazing to have this one touch point where we can get all that information so that we can keep track of it have it all in all the different municipalities as well, I think is really fantastic because we'll reach farther together. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it just comes down to, once again, just making sure that that information is in one central place. So we have built quite an extensive website. And once again, it goes down to, unless you did a ton of research before, you really couldn't find one place where there was an exhaustive list of every restaurant in Leduc, of every park in the area, right? So it's just been a lot of research collection to put that all into one place, but it has been really rewarding to see that we have developed some really quality resources that make that information so much easier for people to access.
So, and tourism, like it's crazy to think tourism in your own backyard. So have you received a little bit of pushback in regards to what you're trying to provide for the community in that sense of what people see as tourism and local?
Yeah, it's just a little bit of, I guess, as we continue to grow and evolve, just defining the scope of what we define as tourism, what we don't define as tourism, and really just making sure that the things that we are putting on the website are adding value. So just making sure that, and there's a couple different ways that you can look at it, because some people view tourism as the very classic, I'm going to go to a hotel, I'm going to go to a restaurant, I'm going to go to this attraction that everybody takes pictures at, and I'm going to take my picture, and that's going to be my tourist journey, right? Whereas other people are looking for some really unique things where it's I want to go to a regional farm and I want to learn about agriculture. I want to find a cool park that I can set up a yoga mat and do some yoga by the pond. So it's just really about broadening the general perception of tourism. It's not just the hotel, restaurant, landmark. It's so much beyond that. It involves things like specialty shopping. There's so many cool shops on Main Street that are a really cool tourism draw, in my opinion, right? Whereas many people aren't okay, I'm going to go to Main Street for tourism, I'm going to go to Main Street for shopping, but there's not much of a distinction between those two in my mind.
Sure. Hence why it's Discover Leduc region. So as much as you're filling that void for the tourism part, it really is about discovering. So I think that's really, really brilliant. For sure.
Exactly. And it's about empowering people too, I think. Whereas obviously, getting caught up in the verbiage, people do that all the time. But something like an Explore Edmonton, a Tourism Calgary, that's obviously great because there are so many great things to tour and there are so many great things to explore. But we really just decided to brand ourselves as Discover, because then that puts the onus on the tourist or even the local to be this is what's in my backyard. This is the things that I'm interested in. There's a central place I can go to get information on that. And then beyond that, it's really up to me as to what I want to pursue.
It's awesome. And they're and we're growing in so many directions, and there's always so many new people coming into our city that I really find that it can definitely be utilized to all our new citizens, as well as the people who have lived here who don't know or just always do their own thing. But we're growing in every direction in almost every municipality in our region. So it's definitely going to be, if utilized and shared, and will reach out, it's definitely going to be something that's going to, I think, be very helpful for all our citizens and all our communities. So
yeah, exactly. And it's interesting you say that too, because tourism doesn't happen in a vacuum. Municipalities don't happen in a vacuum. And Leduc, not only Leduc, but the surrounding communities are so well positioned. We have the airport right next to us. We're on Highway 2. When people drive on Highway 2, they have to drive right through the middle of Leduc, right? So there's so much through traffic. There's so much opportunity to capture some of that through traffic. And once again, people don't tour in a vacuum. If you're going to go to Leduc, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to go to Devon. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump to go to Kalmar. And oftentimes people do like to do those kind of things. They like to have a weekend where they just tour those little municipalities that they may not have visited in a while, right? So it's just about assembling all of that information to one place and then creating businesses for a platform for businesses to be hey, I'm part of this. This is what I have to offer. Come check me out.
Well,
Absolutely. Like, I'm just thinking about how I can utilize the platform. And just like, if you're going to the Devon River with the kids for the day, I can check out a new restaurant because I can go on your website and say, hey, let's check out this new restaurant while we're here. Or, even if you go on like the Facebook rant and rave pages and someone's looking for Chinese food, they go all over from Millet to Kamar and we'll do rant and rave page. Like, it's not just about here, because we are so close to each other. It only takes you 15 minutes to go get Chinese food in another town. So it's interesting that this can now be utilized potentially in that way as well. So
yeah, exactly. And it's also been interesting to see the growth of it. So when we first launched in June of 2020, we just had the city of Leduc as a municipal partner, and we had Leduc County as a municipal partner. And then it was actually interesting to see other municipalities approach us and be like, hey, we want to be a part of this. So near the end of the summer of 2020, Kalmar and Devon independently reached out to us, saw that we were in the early stages of growth, and were like, hey, how can we become involved with this? A very similar thing happened with Beaumont just a couple months ago. So it's just been interesting to see that not only on the tourist side of things, but on the municipal side of things, people are starting to realize that Leduc doesn't exist in a vacuum. Beaumont doesn't exist in a vacuum. Kalmar doesn't exist in a vacuum. Everything is interconnected, and really the best way to promote not only yourselves, but the things that are going on in your municipality are by working together.
Sure, absolutely. And not even just like on that standpoint for a citizen, but we are trying to like promote to the global community to bring your business here in regards to the economic factors. So if, leveraging and saying, hey, come to us, but then we have all of these things for your employees to do as well.
Exactly.
Like, we can really push that to say, hey, as a city or as an area, if you bring your company, like example, Amazon, when they came here, you could promote this kind of platform to them as well, so that their employees know where they're going and what they're doing, right?
And that's an area of growth that we're really looking at, especially business travel. There are so many hotels out in Nisku that are strategically positioned there because they're so close to the airport. And a lot of those hotels, at least pre-COVID, would host conferences, they would host business functions, they would host special events, right? So I feel like as that business travel starts to resume, as people start to be more comfortable visiting, flying to places, visiting those hotels in Nisku again, I feel like this platform will be a huge support that hotels in Nisku can rely on, that event services in Nisku can rely on to say, okay, you're planning your conference at the Coast Nisku Inn, but now there's so many of these other things that you may not have known about that your people who are attending that conference can now go see and do. Well, they could always go see and do them, but now that information is just a little bit easier to find.
Yeah, for sure. That's super awesome, actually. Like, if I piece out how big and how broad that we can really get with this and the information that can be shared, it's super awesome. So where do you guys see this 5 years from now? Like, do you guys have a vision for what that looks like?
Yeah, we're really just growing rapidly and rolling with the punches. What I would like to see, I guess, within the next few years, maybe by 5 years, is really just getting to a point where we work closely enough with businesses that we're able to really efficiently package experiences. So you can go onto our website, you can get a hotel room, a restaurant booking, tickets to go see something like Castrol Raceway or Century Mile, and you can book that all in one place, one easy checkout purchase, boom, your first day of your trip to the Leduc region is done. So I would really like to see us grow to a point where we work closely enough with businesses that we can really package them in a super efficient, super easy way for consumers, business travelers, really anybody to experience those kind of things.
Oh, that would be super awesome. Wow, yeah. So that's a lot of tech parked on the back end there and a lot of organization, but that would be super awesome. I can definitely see why that would definitely be a goal for you guys, to have a one-stop shop. One ticket, I'll send your email, here's your pass, here's this, and away you go, right? So
yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. And it would also be like really beneficial to the business community. So obviously putting on my chamber staff hat here, it only helps economic development so much more when there are different ways for businesses to get their products and get their services out there. And like I said before, we do live in such an interconnected world now that businesses are going to be so much more successful if they rely on professional networks. They partner with other businesses to bring forward experiences and products that they may not be able to themselves.
100%. And that's one of the things that I'm really proud about within the Leduc region is that we had that. Like, look at all the growth that the growth of the downtown association is doing in the main streets and all of that stuff that they're bringing together to create all these events to bring us downtown. Like, if they weren't working together, right, that's not what was happening when I was growing up, or like, but through the community of evolution and joining hands that they're able to create these things. So I'm really excited to see that for our region and for like the city. So I really hope to see more and more come in and join this for you guys. That's super awesome.
Yeah, and actually interesting that you mention events too, because that's something that we focus on a lot. Obviously, in majority of COVID, in-person events were very limited, but we do think that in-person events are going to rebound, and they're going to rebound bigger and better than ever. We've already seen that with the success of some of the main streets events. They have some cool ones planned for the end. Beaumont has some really cool events coming up in September. So we really do believe that especially this platform will also give a great voice and some additional promotion to people who want to host really cool community-centric events in the Leduc region and the surrounding communities.
And again, like in regards to the new people coming, like you don't know where to look. You don't know where to find out if you move to Beaumont. And that's growing exponentially, or Leduc. Like, they're all just growing cities. So like all these new people coming in, like it really, I think reaching out to realtors being one, but reaching out to realtors just to say like, hey, like promote this to people who are buying and moving to the community, I think is definitely going to be really beneficial in regards to retention and having that enjoyment for, loving your city that you're into. So I'll definitely try to reach out and share with any of the realtors and communities that I've connections that I have in regards to that, because I think it definitely will help with retention. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think this is a brilliant initiative, and I'm so proud to be like our chamber is one of the best things that, not that I know because I'm biased, I'm born and raised here, but like when you hear of them winning all the awards, and then you see initiatives like this, like it really ties in to, I think, how lucky we are in regards to the chamber and what they provide and the vision that you guys have to provide these outlets for us as citizens and business community. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have a large team here at the chamber. And once again, a little bit, maybe not Discover Leduc region related, but at the chamber, we're fortunate to have, we have over 10 people on staff, which as far as chambers go, unless you're a chamber in a city like Edmonton or a city like Calgary, majority of chambers across Alberta are really 2 to 3 people staff. So we're fortunate to have a team at the chamber that is greater than that. We're able to have some really talented and some really great minds on the chamber, and also some people who are able to leverage networks really well. So obviously, once again, they're paying me, so I'm going to always pump their tires. But, we have a pretty special team at the chamber, and I'm fortunate to be a part of it.
Sure. So when you say they're usually smaller, is that just because they're smaller centers? So because we've joined Leduc, Nisku, Wetaskiwin, is that how come that we're able to staff so much more?
Yeah, I think it's part and parcel that we do cover a fairly large area, but the other part of it too is really it also depends on the success of your business community. So we do have an extremely thriving business community in Leduc, in Nisku, in Leduc County, in Wetaskiwin and Wetaskiwin County. A ton of businesses that we are able to grow a professional network with, that we're able to retain a solid membership base. So really there is a linear relationship between the size and the strength of a business community and the size and the strength of the chamber. And it ebbs and flows both ways, but we are fortunate that we are able to rely on such a strong business community and provide services for them.
And hopefully it only goes up for all of us now. So that's awesome. So in regards to someone coming to look and want to discover Leduc, what are some of the restaurants and places that would be one of the favorites, do you think?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Starting in Leduc, I would definitely say check out Barney's Leduc. Barney's exceptional food, and then you really never have to twist my arm to have good Alberta craft beer, but Barney's has a pour your own Alberta craft beer wall. So if you weren't a craft beer enthusiast before, you will be after. You literally can take your glass, walk up to the beer wall and fill it up yourself. Like such a cool experience. You can't beat that. Obviously a little bit biased, but it is what it is. Habaneros has excellent Mexican food. I've had so many tacos from Habaneros and they are just so delicious. Especially they have a beautiful patio too. Like there's nothing better than sitting on the Habaneros patio. You have a taco in one hand, a margarita in the other, and it's a hot sunny day. You're just living your best life. Little slice of Mexico in Leduc.
Right? That's awesome.
And then as far as some restaurants in other communities, Kalmar has a fantastic Chinese food restaurant. I think it's Lee's family restaurant. Such good Chinese food. Oh my God. My family, whenever they order Chinese food, they always order from Kalmar.
Right? It's only 15 minutes away. You wouldn't, you don't need to go that far to go out of town to get good food.
Yeah, exactly. And then have you ever been to Homeroom Diner in Devon?
I've never.
Okay.
We're just starting to venture out to try different foods. But what is it?
Fair.
Homeroom Diner?
Homeroom Diner. Yeah, you definitely need to check them out in Devon. They're fairly new. I think they only opened about 2 years ago, but they focus on like all locally sourced food. So it's really diner style, but it's very much a local flair to it. So they source from local farms. Their beef is from local farms. A lot of their fruits and veggies and ready-made products are all from local farms, which is super cool. And they have a chef there and he is so talented. Like they have specials on the menu all the time. Like their menu is just a constant rotating and it is so good. Everything I've ever had there is so good.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, we'll definitely have to check that out. That's fantastic. How about for a special gift? Where would we go for a special gift in our community?
For a special gift, I honestly don't think you can go wrong just walking down Main Street and seeing what catches your fancy. My sisters shop at Sarah D Boutique a ton. There are so many cool things in there, some really beautiful things. A gem, B&Key Boutique. They focus on once loved clothes, but they are so much more than just like your classic thrift shop. Like a thrift shop doesn't even come close to describing how cool they are. Like they have beautiful stuff. It's in such good quality and it's just a really unique consignment process. So if I were shopping for clothes, especially women's clothing, I would say either Sarah D Boutique or B&Key Boutique. And if you're looking for some other stuff, Evolution Sports, they have such good sports equipment. I'm a pretty big sports junkie myself. And I remember growing up, whenever we wanted a football, whenever we wanted a volleyball, a baseball glove, like it would be tried and true. You would go to Evolution Sports.
Yeah, for sure. But not even that too. Like they also have the batting cages. Like there's an activity to do in that store as well, which is very surprising when I went to go get my kid's skate sharpened. I was like, what? Like I can go to the batting cages here? Like, so that was a nice surprise for their store as well. So
yeah, exactly. And if you're a foodie, you definitely need to check out, everybody knows them, but Local Meats, like they have such good stuff, especially when it comes to like specialty food items. And then tried and true hallmark of Leduc, Wilhauk. Like you can't beat Wilhauk beef jerky.
It's very true. It's well renowned, and every time I've got some family that they're not local, but every time they go through, they like stock up on beef jerky for the car ride to go for their travel moments. They have beef jerky for their car treat. So
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And how would you spend a day off here in our region?
I'm a pretty big outdoorsy person, so I would definitely make a trip out to Devon and go explore some of the trails in the river. Take a picture out in Devon. If you're looking for, I guess, higher end, like really unique culinary experience, definitely make a trip out to Beaumont and check out Cartier. They're one of the best restaurants in Alberta, and they're one of the best restaurants in Alberta for a reason. They have such good food, especially if you're looking for like a Sunday brunch. Like Cartier in Beaumont is your spot to go.
I love brunch. Then I don't have to make a choice. It's all just right brunch. That's fantastic. Well, is there any last words that you'd like to say to our listening listeners today?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast, and check us out, discoverleduc.ca, for ideas of places to go, things to do, things to see, and check us out on social media at Discover Leduc on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast today, Tarah.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic, and it's I'm so excited to see the progress and how everybody can leverage this and really use this as a tool, not only for locals, but people living in and businesses. So it's quite the platform that you guys are providing. And I'm so excited and honored that I get to share the vision and the story, and we get to see the growth of this happening in our community. So thank you very, very much for joining us. I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.